Okay, so we have heard a lot of talk in the media in the wake of the Parkland shooting and just the vast number of mass shootings that have happened since the beginning of this year alone. But in the wake of the Parkland shooting, there was a lot of talk about solutions. And the kids were asking for stricter gun control, banning assault-style weapons, getting reduced capacity on magazines, that kind of stuff. And the NRA and other sides, President Trump as well, are advocating for arming teachers more. Well, what does that create? A lot of people voice concerns that there might be accidents in the classroom, and Tuesday, there were two. First, someone was trying to teach a lesson on gun safety and shot the ceiling. We'll talk about that. We'll tell you where the bullets ended up. And then also there was another one where just like some, security officer shot it in the middle of nowhere. What do you guys think? 5 words or less.
Accidents like this shouldn't happen.
You still want to arm teachers?
I don't know what to say to this.
No arms, no foul. You know what I mean? No arm, no harm, no foul.
Got it.
I have a lot of prep work to do. And when I type them out, I'm like, this is gonna kill. No arm, no foul.
I particularly like that one.
Thank you.
And the way you said it was very somber and just really genuine and sincere, Brett.
It's a tough note to strike when something this over the top and ridiculous also is so serious.
Right.
It really is, because this all has come in the wake of a really horrific tragedy, and the solutions that played out, these accidents, are so ridiculous, and I feel so obviously not the solution that it sort of feels like a farce. You know what I mean? It just feels like it's like we're taking it like a joke, like we're not taking this seriously, but I know that that's not true, because we've seen such an amazing example from the students who are taking this seriously, and are talking about gun reform. And so to have that on the one, because I think the walkout was yesterday, correct?
Yeah, one of the walkouts.
So one of the student walkouts was yesterday, and so you see that sort of leadership and that that call to action from these kids, and then you, on the other hand, you hear about these guns going off in a classroom when you're trying to arm teachers. Like, how are these both existing? One seems so much more sage and like practical than the other.
So
it seems crazy.
Why do you think one of the solutions put forward is to arm teachers?
Well, because I mean,
people don't want to lose their guns. First of all,
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But people don't want to lose their guns, and they don't want to lose their rights, and they think that we want to take all the guns away and that nobody's going to get to have guns. When I mean, at least from what I've heard from people who are, for an assault ban or for some sort of gun reform, people don't want to take the guns away. We just want to find a way to make it really hard for people who shouldn't have guns to get guns. So yeah, I think they just don't want to get rid of their guns. That's the problem. They really don't. And the NRA makes a lot of money on these guns, and they pay people who are in Congress and people who are making laws to basically make laws that allow them to get more money.
And if this were to take off, the idea of arming faculty members, then there would also be a big payday for the NRA as well. If it looks like a solution that people are really behind, which fortunately right now I don't really think so, and these stories don't serve to help that either, then the NRA would make a lot of money.
I don't know if anybody saw that interview, or I guess like the listening session, Trump called it, where he's in a room with a bunch of teachers, parents, kids, and said, well, how many of you guys want to, I heard one of the solutions was possibly to arm the teachers. And then like 2 hands went up and no one else. And then they said, all right, anyone think that's a bad idea? More hands went up. Trump was like, that looks like something we should look into. And it's like, no. That's lip service that you're paying to people.
Right.
Trump, he came out and said, maybe we should get, raise the age where people should be allowed to buy whatever, I guess all guns, because pistols, it's already higher, but you can buy an assault weapon. The idea being it's harder to hide an assault weapon, so you need to be older, or you can be 18 and have one because people see you coming. It's so ridiculous. Then he disappears after having a conversation with the NRA, comes out and is like,
I think we talked about that here on Pop Sugar before about faculty being trained to have guns in school. And I know I was super, before the things that have happened recently, I was super in accordance with that because, like I said, my nephew goes to school. And one of the quotes from the article was this from a student that said, the kids who died woke up every day like we do, just getting ready for school, and they didn't think that today was gonna be the last day of their life. So I think when I think about my nephew, I think about that as well. But I still stand by that. I think you can have some faculty that are extensively trained. Not every teacher needs to have a gun, but there can be people on the premises, in addition to security guards, that can be extensively trained that should bear arms, that could protect our children. No.
Now, to me, I feel like one, teachers are already underpaid for what they do. We can't fund books. We can't fund things for their classrooms. We can't even pay them enough to live. My sister's a teacher and she has to have another part-time job to pay rent. So if you think that somehow we're gonna, not you necessarily, sorry Jason, but if people think that we're gonna somehow come up with all this money to arm teachers and to train them, I think that's completely ridiculous. And I think that also that money could be put towards things like getting better books for the classroom. Like, my sister just told me that the book they use in the classroom and the book that they send home are completely different books because the school doesn't have enough money to give the kids the books that they actually use in the classroom. And I mean, the particular stories that were in this, these were people that were trained. Like, one was a reserve police officer, and I think in the other ones it was like a school security guard. These are people who supposedly had a lot of training in firearm safety, and I think that to put that on teachers when they're teaching overloaded classrooms of 30 kids, half of them may not even speak English, that's completely ridiculous.
Very strong improvement in strengthening of background checks will be fully backed by the White House. Legislation moving forward. Bump stocks will soon be out. No, he hasn't done anything on that. This is all the Trump tweet. Highly trained expert teachers will be allowed to conceal carry, subject to state law. Armed guards, okay. Deterrent, exclamation point, and then like 6 periods. ... This is who is framing the strategy. Betsy DeVos, who is the head of the education department, said giving teachers guns in the classroom should be an option for states and communities to consider. Ivanka Trump said it needs to be discussed. It's not going to be discussed unless people get out there and make a change and change who is in the legislature. All that's going to happen is this lot. They're not going to talk about it. They're just going to disappear, have their meetings, go get their appropriations committee done, get the money to fund these things, and get the NRA to make more money by people buying guns for these programs. It's so difficult. Betsy DeVos, I do trust her because she was the one that says there should be guns in schools because there might be bear attacks.
I remember that.
Do you remember that? I don't know. I mean, there was a 6th grader who wrote a will saying like, I want my family to have my toys and my clothes because they've been so great to me, just in case. When you were in high school, in college, did you have this kind of fear, or do you think it's worse now?
It's interesting because of going to school overseas, the gun laws in Belgium now, they're actually lesser than in most of Western Europe. So there is more statistically higher gun deaths in Belgium than in other Western European countries. But it really wasn't a fear at all. Like, I can't remember a single school shooting that happened while I was from when I was like 7 until I was 18. And my mom was also a teacher as well. And you know that the responsibilities outside of just funding and all that stuff, and my mom, we went to a private school, so I know that that wasn't really a consideration, but imagining in public schools, well, there's all this stress that goes on teachers to begin with, and they enter the teaching profession for a reason that is not wanting to bear arms. You know what I mean? It's just they're totally separate sort of desires and needs, and I think we're losing sight of that.
Yeah, nurture minds, not like learn how to load a Glock.
Yeah.
Anyways, what do you guys think? We keep asking, what do you think? But there's a walkout on the 24th, and we're going to walk out right now.